Welcome to another message from the streets. Just a point of view. Today's topic, controversial topic. A lot of people may be offended by some of the things that I may speak on in making this analysis. Go right on into it. Today's topic is the sunken place. You know, many of us have seen a movie called Get Out not too long ago, a couple of years back, and it was the transferring of the consciousness of elderly Europeans into so-called black hosts or bodies or in the temples of the so-called blacks. And that movie isn't really far from a reality once you unpackage what's going on in this Western society. Now, first of all, the sunken place is a psychological prison that has detained the mind in a place where as though the mind is unable to reason out reality from the illusion or reality from the falsehood. And a lot of those falsehoods deal with traditions. A lot of people are in the sunken place because they're traditionalists. And they're traditionalists in a lot of different ways. Most people are traditionalists when we come to acknowledging and celebrating certain days that the Western society has given to us as a religious acknowledgement. But really, when you break it down and you look at it and you review what's been going on over the years, it's just a day or some days throughout the course of the year to get a economical surge. Really, the religious part that is dealing with it is actually has been manipulated to compromise or make an alliance with their narrative. A lot of these religious ceremonies that is a part of this traditionalism, you can trace it back to other customs. They got like a gumbo. They got a little bit from over here, a little bit from over there, and now we going around, promoting it, practicing it. Don't know no history on it. Then we passing it on to our children. Our children gonna pass it on to their children, so forth and so on. That's for the people that are in the sunken place. Some people are climbing up out of the sunken place every day because they are questioning the paradigm that has been given to us. And we got to thank the government and the laws of this land and the cruel treatment of so-called blacks that have given us the motivation to look deeper into certain things, and then we get into the rabbit hole and it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Then the dots start to connecting. Then we over here looking at this criminal justice system or criminal injustice system. Then it leads us to another investigation, and then to another investigation, and so forth and so on. Then you get all the way down to the food, the GMOs, high corn syrup, fructose, a lot of different things going on. And speaking on that, a lot of people are traditionalists because of the way that they eat. And I spoke on it a few weeks ago. You know what? A lot of people are sick right now today. They sick because of their eating habits. They're overweight. They are experiencing high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and they are feeding their children the same traditional deaf diet. That is part of being in the sunken place as well. Also, the sunken place consists of people believing everything that the propaganda machine has pumped out in the sense of their correctness and when I'm saying I'm talking about the government in the direction that they see that is the best for the people. When you do your research beyond the sunken place, you would know that governments that have governed people from the beginning of time, some people won't go back to Egypt and claim that they had a perfect civilization. No. There were the blue bloods, those that was connected to certain entities, the archons, the fallen ones, the Nephilims, that were hosts. And what they did was they put a mandate on the people. They governed them, they beat them, they abused them, they oppressed them, and they kept them in poor conditions. And that is what's going on right now today. The same governments that operated out of Egypt, Babylon, Rome, and other nations that so-called that had the best of interests of humanity in their regards, but all the time they were just utilizing people, making slaves out of people. And now we're in this era where as though slavery is coming down the technological street or path. You know, people are mentally enslaved, and we're being mentally enslaved by agreements that we're making with certain types of traditions, certain types of technology. You know, they want to give people all different types of tracking devices, chips, so forth and so on. But some people say, you know what, that's a conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory. I heard a gentleman on the floor of the Senate a few years ago. He said, you know what, there was a lot of conspiracy theories that have manifested over the last few years. But you know what I want to tell you? This is what the governor dude said. I was shocked on Senate. He said, you know what, those conspiracy theories are not conspiracy theories anymore, because they have manifested, they have come to pass, so they are no longer conspiracy theories. And a lot of people, they just, you know, they just silly in a sense. They just programmed in the matrix, and they don't want to be free of the sunken place. So they operate in the sunken place, and they're against anybody that thinks a little different than what they think, or not in agreement, or a person that wants to examine these situations and say, you know what, this don't make sense to me. You know what, 1 + 1 = 2. And what these people are saying, it doesn't make sense. It's not mathematical sense. You know, our life is based on mathematics. And you know, these mathematics take us into quantum possibilities, which also, even though we got these possibilities, a lot of these possibilities are running into the sunken place, because we have been conditioned for so long. We don't have the ability to think for ourselves. When I say we, I'm talking about many of the people on the planet, the masses of the people. There's a, like they say that there's a 1% that's running the world, that's the elite, that own everything. There is 1% of the people on the planet that have knowledge of self, that have knowledge of what's going on in a real time type of sense. And all of these people are not from the so-called African Americans or so-called blacks. We got Europeans, Asian. I done met people down in Australia that was wide awoke on, you know, the manipulation and the, you know, the scandalous schemes of government factors all over the world. And we had a breakthrough with the murder of George Floyd. The sunken place, a glitch came. And the glitch was that the people came together, not just in the United States, not just in the UKs, but all over the planet for one cause. And that is justice. Because as Brother Reverend Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So that takes us back to the sunken place. Most people that are in the sunken place have agreed with injustice because of what the government factors promote. We're going to protect you from the Russians. We're going to protect you from the Chinese. We're going to protect you from the Islamic fundamentalists. But all the time, if you learn to read or you get, you know, some information, you would know this is the same scheme that George Orwell wrote about in 1984. They had the people in one region. It was a nuclear. Let me tell you what happened real quick. It was a nuclear aftermath, and the country was divided up, and they used to go every morning and go to this conditioning center, and in the conditioning center it was telling them that the people on the other side of the globe, they was their enemies, this. But when you started looking at the movie, started to understand it, it was about a control thing, and the people on the other side of the globe was in control with the governing factors on this side of the globe. They was telling their people the same thing that the people over here was telling their people about what was going on, but all the time wasn't none of that going on. It was a whole nother agenda, and that's why many of us are in the sunken place, because we steady believing the lies and the fairy tales and the falsehood and the illusions that a factor that is possibly being promoted by entities and energies from the lower frequency. Now, these lower frequency entities, they need a host. And in the teaching, they say, man, we got to be aware of principalities, powers, demons in high places. So, I got to look around and say, on a spiritual plane, I hear what they're saying, but where's this set on a physical plane? In the churches, in the mosques, in the synagogues, in the governments, the wealthy people on the planet. These people, they want to keep the sunken place live and thriving and, in accordance with the matrix. The sunken place and the matrix are similar because they prisons for our minds. Let me say that again. The sunken place and the matrix are similar because they are different prisons, institutions, jails for our minds. Let me see something. Okay. Another thing about the sunken place, man, it's point blank. If you out here hating people, you're in the sunken place. You out here hating people for no reason besides that you had a you had an incident, or your family member had an incident, or you seen something, and most of the time that hate comes from fear. And the teachers, man, you know what, man, fear leads to hate. And hate leads to the dark side. And a lot of us is on the dark side. And the dark side is the sunken place. We're looking at, the possibility of humanity from a distorted view from the sunken place. Man, wake up. Get up out of the sunken place. Go inside yourself and start to thinking for yourself and start questioning what's going on this planet. Because if we don't wake up and start to make a shift in what is going on, the New World Order going to be upon us. The New World Order possibly putting everybody in the sunken place because we're going to be fearful of this, fearful of that. Maybe food, phantom, pestilence, so forth and so on. A lot of these things have been created by humanity. They got up in Alaska, the heart machine controlling the weather. Man, they've been doing that for years. I met a brother from Bangladesh when I was over DC jail, and he told me, he said, man, over in Russia, they control the weather every wintertime around their Christmas. And I was listening to Art Murray, I believe that is, Coast to Coast. And I had came out of the journal and I was talking to the brother, I failed to recall his name, good brother. And he said, they do got that weather machine. And then later on, Jesse Van Twiller came out, the former wrestler, mayor of Minnesota, or governor of Minnesota, Jesse. And man, it's a lot of things going on this planet that is not what it's saying to be. But you know what? A lot of this stuff is going on because we, the people, have made an agreement with how the operation is going on because we're not resisting. So if we're not resisting and we're not standing up for it, standing up for right, we have collectively, with our minds, agreed with the error and the direction that things are going. Why? Because we're afraid. Why? Because our minds have been poisoned by devils, demons, and imps in the form of men. And it's been going on. It's a big scam. It's been going on. It's still going on. It's going to continue to go on. And unfortunately, for this thing to stop, some people may have to transition. And the teachers teach that some got to die so others can live. And I'm saying, you know what? Don't look at that so bad, because the thing about it is, I'm not talking about physical death. I'm talking about mental and spiritual death. You know what? People have to die to the falsehood so they can live in correctness. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, today's topic, the sunken place. Just, do a self-examination of yourself and ask yourself, are you in the sunken place? Because all of us in the sunken place in some areas of our operation. All of us is in the matrix. in some area of our operation. And the thing is that once we get out of one area, then we find ourselves in another area, then in another area. But we got to keep on going. It's like a maze game or something like that. But there is relief. There is a way out, and we got to push forward and make it do what it do. You know, and one of the teachers, they say that, you know, once the person has reached this high level of operation, they make a commitment to go back and to wake other people up. You know, give other people this information so they can wake themselves up. They nod and, hey man, hey, this was going on, but it's up to us to take the information and do what is necessary so that our minds can break away from the systematic programming. And a lot of people, they out here distracted because they got issues with different races. That's a part of the program. That's what they want us to do. They want us to be fighting with one another, you know, have these small petty issues. If you think, once again, is you are better than another person just because you're melon recessive or melon excessive, you're missing the whole point. Because the teachers teach that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Yes, some people in these spiritual vessels may have been more diabolical, more treacherous on the planet, but guess what? It was necessary for us to get where we're at, and we're trying, or we should be trying or attempting to get up out of the sunken place. So these things, if they wouldn't have manifested, we wouldn't have those things to look at and be saying, you know what, I ain't getting down like that. I'm gonna oppose that. But if it never happened, we don't think about those things. So these things that's going on, for me myself, I think, you know, that they are necessary. And people may not agree with that, you know, because people want to hold on to the physical life and think that this thing is forever. This thing is only temporary. We just passing through. And nobody has been documented in our day and time, in this so-called latter time that we live in 200, 300 years. No, you're getting up out of here. But the thing is try to do the best you can so that others don't have to go through the same enslavement, psychologically, mentally, that we have had to go through. We got to do better. And it ain't even for us right here in 2021. It's for those that's coming possibly in 2051, 61, 71, so forth and so on. We got to plant the seeds for the harvest. We already harvesting the corruption that has been planted 60, 70, 80, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, even 1,000 years ago. Because this society, the United States, the world leader, is just a spinoff from Rome. This the packaging of Babylon, and the repackaging of the Greek Empire, the repackaging of Egypt, and any other great empire that's been on this planet is right here in the United States right now. And guess what? All of those empires had their acme, their pinnacle, their highest raise, and then they came down. Why? Because of the corruption. Why? Because of the greed and the manipulation through spiritual systems. The priests became corrupt. The governing factors became corrupt. The pharaohs, the Caesars, the kings, the queens, the presidents, the governors, the senators, corrupt. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thanks for tuning in to the Sunken Place. Maybe I'll do another episode on this, because I know that, you know, I got all over different places. I probably, once I finish doing this, gonna think, dang, I ain't mentioned this, I ain't mentioned that. But I bring you this message in love, and I leave you this message in peace and goodwill to all humanity. Praise him that raised him.